I think one of the things that we're learning about in coaching is that the list of things that we have to know about and be good at is growing. Clearly one of those areas is team culture. And when you think about the great sports programs that we've seen, including a current one, the Golden State Warriors, when you listen to them, when you read about it from a distance, it becomes clear that there is a culture there. Now, short enough term with Coach Kerr there that I think the longer you look at something, the more you find out about what the culture is that's created by the organization or the school, in my case, by the coaching staff that's there, by the athletic department. There's a culture that is going to exist. And then in the Warriors case, when Coach Kerr came into the program, he added to it, changed it. Players change it, there's no doubt about it. But there is a culture there. In 5 more years, we'll find out if they are all there, or a lot of them, or if Coach Kerr is there, how they affected the culture and where it's evolved to now. When you think about Tennessee women's basketball, there was a clear culture there that I could see from a distance, we could all see from a distance. The head coach is a very special person. There are things about her there are things about her school, that this culture was created that's long-term. For me, I think this whole topic gets confused to some degree with the idea of team chemistry. As a young coach, I was brought up to think about team chemistry as something that is very important. To me, team chemistry says we have this pot that we're all put into, all of our talents, who we are as people, the players on my team, the assistant coaches, our athletic trainer, and it all mixes together, and in the moment there is a chemistry. The chemistry is affected by the culture and vice versa, there's no doubt about it. But for me, chemistry is short term. It's in the moment, it has to do with how we affect one another right now. And I think one of the things that's really important for coaches to figure out is chemistry can ruin culture, depending on who it is and how it works and things that happen, injuries, whatever. And what I think we want to do is work the hardest on the culture of our program so that when chemistry changes, it might stretch, test, change our culture, but it doesn't break it. The culture has to be strong enough for it to all hold together as things occur in life, because we want our program to last forever. I was in a program I'm not now part of. I wanted the next person to have a culture there that they could work at changing, adapting, adding to, but have it be something that at least in a fairly short term, the chemistry wouldn't challenge it to the point of hurting it. And that's our goal. And culture is built on lots of things, but in the end, it's built on the values of the people and the institution that are sponsoring it or putting it together. So the programs I coached in, the culture had a lot to do with my values. It then had to do with the values of the people I brought to work with me. It had to do with how we were influenced by the other coaches around us and our administrators in our department. And that culture, just what you want to constantly strive for is seeing how it's changing, seeing how you can add to it, seeing what you can do with this to make it stronger. But it is the key issue. But there is an art to that, and there is an art to the idea of the chemistry of a group and how you deal with it and motivate it and help it grow. And it's almost like they are two separate skills for any coach. The coach or the idea of dealing with the chemistry of the group I have right now, and having that chemistry work within the culture and helping advance the culture of the program. I mean, my last team, there were some amazing people there who were like abiding by the culture that was established, but there were such good things about them that they were helping add to the culture, and the next group that came in had a chance to really feel a culture that was good, and have a chance to continue to grow from there. So paying attention to chemistry, which I think is short term, within the whole framework of team culture is one thing that coaches, I think, it's a skill, we have to be great at it. It takes me some effort to think back 44 years to the first time I coached volleyball. There wasn't a program. There was no culture. I had no understanding of what the chemistry might be of the people who finally ended up on the teams that I coached. I actually coached more than one team because there were not very many coaches around at the time. That's back in the 70s. Over time, experiencing things, adding to what I know, asking questions, reading, whatever, the ways that I've tried to evolve as a coach. If I now went back and coached that first team, I'd have a much better idea of how to establish a culture in a program that didn't exist, or a program that I was walking into, it existed, and my gut feeling was that there needed to be changes made. Or I knew there were changes that were already in motion, and that's why I am coaching the program now. So I know a lot more about it. I think it has to start with the things that a coach wants to establish in the program. If you take over a program and your goal is to win, well, that's a statement of what the program's going to be like. If you walk into a program and say, these are the things that I want the athletes to know are important to me and that I want to learn more about so that when they're done with the program, they will be headed in a direction with maybe more maturity, certainly more experience and background in. Well, to me, that would be an important place to start. I want the athletes that I coach to take ownership in what they do. I want them to be responsible for what their actions are while they're in the program. I want them to learn about being competitive. I want them to learn about what it means to be tough. All right, life brings lots of things to us. If you're going to be an athlete, you have to understand competition and what it takes. If you're going to be a teammate, you have to know how to be accountable for what you do so that everything doesn't revolve around the fact that we're selfish. If something happens and I need to be accountable for the sake of my team, I need to learn how to do that. So those four things are the things for me that I would put in the foundation of where you're going to go with the culture. They have to start with the human that's going to start it, or probably will be close to the center of it, and it's going to have to come from there, like spring from there. All right? Then I think we need to talk about the things that we want to be true about the culture. One of the things for me would be when anybody looks at my team, my program, I want to be proud of what they think about my program. So that involves a lot of things. I want them to think we work hard. I want there to be trust involved. I want them to think that we care about whether the athletes enjoy the game, have a joy and love for the game while they're playing for us. So any person can come up with a list of what they want other people to think about the program, and then you operate that way. I think it's pretty critical for me to think about what the people who work for me in running my program at my high school, my athletic director or my principal, the coaches that I have that are surrounding me in my program, what values they bring to it, and I better bring people in that abide by the first four things that we talked about, and they want to add to that. But it has to be have an expression of what they bring, who they are as people as well. If they're really good people, why limit it to myself, the effect? Why not have it be the sum of the people who work with me be at the foundation of what this culture is? Then I have to take a look at the institutions that I'm working within. For me, it's my school, it's my athletic department, it's my school, it's the NC2A. I mean, there are a lot of entities that I have to answer to, as well as understand and know what they want the program to look like from their point of view. The athletic departments I've worked in want us to integrate into the community. They want us to do community service. They want us to reach out to younger athletes. So how our program is constructed, it's going to have to include that, and I have to plan for that. I have to follow the rules, there's no question. And so that's part of the culture of how do you want your program to be viewed. One of the rules I always live by is in the moment, you're always going to be asked, or the light will go on in your head, to think that I have to do this right now. And then down the road, I'm going to look back and go, I sold the future for the present right there. Right? If we have to win, and so I'm going to do this. I have to get a recruit, so I'm going to do this. I mean, when we succumb to those kinds of things, our culture is in danger, the program's in danger, because in that feeling that I had to do that in the moment, it's going to make it so it's very hard to stay there in the long run. Selling the future for the present is just a bad choice. Everybody who works for me has to know that that's the way I feel, and I can't forget that. So for me, that's understanding what the institutions or the entities that are tied to our program, what they require or what they want. I have to keep that. That's just one of the parameters that we have to understand. Then you get to the next step, and I have to really spend time thinking, talking, understand what the athletes want. I mean, I could run my practices a certain way and create a lot of conflict in the program, not understanding that what the athletes really want is a really good workout. They want to work out sweating every day, and I don't provide practices like that. They're dissatisfied with it. Everything else is good, can ruin the program, just because I'm not paying attention to what it is they want. If I'm at an institution where the balance between academics and athletics is a very serious thing throughout the school, and what I'm doing is out of balance with the institution by demanding more out of the athlete on the athletic side so they can't have a balance with academics, or vice versa, it isn't going to end up working, because the athletes, what they would express that they want is not being satisfied. It's not being catered to or taken care of. It's not going to work. And so there's probably a long list of things that we can think about or talk to them about that we have to consider as parameters for how we set up the culture of our program and how it's going to work based upon their needs. I think that there are things that come up each year, certainly in a college program, probably in all programs, as people leave high school. Seeing that coming, knowing it's like, why would you wonder in year 2 if in year 1 the best leader you've ever coached left, and then in year 2 you can't figure out why you seem to have no leadership within your program? Lots of leadership comes from amazing people that are natural at it. Well, teams change, all right? Injuries happen. Dealing with playing time, those are all issues that can't threaten the culture. But when you're starting out a program, it seems to me that what we've just gone through is a list of parameters, starting boundaries, starting the boundaries that we start out with that we have to live within. And if we set it up and it can't live that way, then it was futile. How we set it up wasn't going to work. If you're in a situation that's already happened and you have to change it, then the only thing that will apply here is patience, a systematic approach to having words that are critical to what you believe as a coach and what the program and institution wants being put into place in a different way. If there was no trust, and that's the reason the program had a problem, then that has to not be something that can be sacrificed. You have to go to that and say, wow, when trust is broken, how long will it take me to have this be different? Well, I say a long time. When you're dealing with an athlete and you want them to learn something, and it's frustrating, they're having a hard time assimilating it, when should your patience run out? Well, I know that it's run out for me. Well, it can't run out. It has to be infinite. It's okay to say, whoo, I'm tired in the moment. You're wearing me out with this. I'm trying to help and it's not working. We need to take a deep breath and start over. But I am not going to stop ever. I'm going to be patient with this until we're done with one another. But that's kind of what the program has to be too. If you're at a place that isn't where you want it, it's going to take time. If you think it's fast, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. It's a process. It will take time. Be patient with it, but it's all going to spring from the foundation of the things that I think that we've talked about here.